I believe that every Singaporean worker, no matter what his or her job, have a right to earn a living wage. Yeah. I believe that whether you're a cleaner, a gardener, a security guard, a bus driver, whatever your job, if you work hard at it, you have a right to earn a wage sufficient to maintain you and your family in dignity and in material sufficiency. My unhappiness with the current wage system in Singapore is that not all Singaporean workers who work hard and make an honest living are paid what I consider a living wage. I read in the papers over the weekend, some workers, I don't know what work they do, earn only $500 a month. You know, given the cost of living in Singapore, it is impossible for a person to maintain himself and his family with a monthly income of $500. According to our own statistical office, I think you need something like 1,500 or more for a household of 4 to survive. Yeah. Singapore is a rich country, but we have decided, unlike Korea and Mexico, not to join the OECD. The OECD is the rich countries club. It's like a think tank based in Paris. It does research, they try to develop best practices, common rules. If we were a member of OECD, then we would conform with one of OECD's practices, which is that OECD believes that a household which earns less than the median income of households should be considered poor. And I think, but if I'm not wrong, our median income in Singapore is about 5,000 a month. Family of 4, household of 4. I think it's about 5,000 a month median income. So if you take the OECD guideline, any family of 4 which earns less than 2005 would be considered by OECD as poor. Yeah? Hong Kong is not a member of OECD, but for political reasons, Hong Kong is not a state, it is part of China, so Hong Kong can't join the OECD. But Hong Kong has unilaterally adopted the OECD guideline, and so it has promulgated a poverty line, you know, and it's recognized that I think about 250,000 people in Hong Kong are living below the poverty line. And in a recent speech to the LegCo, the chief executive, C.Y. Leong, has announced many measures to help the poor households. Singapore government has declined to promulgate an official line, and the Singapore government's position is that we don't need such a line because the one line alone doesn't tell the whole story, you know. And that Singapore government has a plethora of measures to help poor people in what Chan Chun Sing in Parliament has called the Kueh Lapis approach. And maybe Yak Wee Ting and Gillian Koh can explain what the Kueh Lapis approach is. The bottom line is, there's no question but that the Singapore government does a lot to help poor people. Schools are subsidized, so poor children go to good schools in Singapore. Healthcare is subsidized, and unlike even a rich country like in the United States, where some people, until Obama, had no medical insurance and would be turned away by a hospital because they have no medical insurance. I think in Singapore, no sick person has ever been turned away by a hospital. And if you have no means to pay, I think the hospitals or the government will pick up your medical expenses in a Class C ward. Public transport is subsidized. There is and children are subsidized through EduSave, you know, and other means. I don't disagree that that there are many measures to help poor people in Singapore. And many people would say that workfare is better than minimum wage, in the sense that minimum wage is an artificial number set by government, and some people think that while it helps the people who benefit from it, it may deter job creation. So it may actually hurt some poor people, because employers who are unable to survive by paying their workers the minimum wage will therefore not open businesses or hire people. So there's a strong argument by some economists who believe in a free market and minimum intervention by the state that minimum wage is a bad thing because it tends to reduce job creation. Recently, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Tommy Koh has been trying to, in effect, bring about a minimum wage in the cleaning industry. The government is allergic to the term minimum wage, so they don't call it minimum, which is fine. We should respect people's allergies. Huh? If somebody has an allergy, you should respect the allergy, as long as we get the job done. And what's the job? The job is to help people who work in the cleaning industry earn a living wage. I think that at the moment they are now being paid minimum $1,000, $1,000 to $1,004, which is a big improvement from even a year or two ago when they were being paid $500, $600, $700, $800. I hope they will do the same to other sectors like the gardener, security guards. I'm a champion of bus drivers. I think that we should pay our bus drivers more. So if the government has an allergy to a national level minimum wage, let us at least agree that we will, through use of the market, through best practices, raise the wages of people in the bottom 1/3 of our society.
If I can touch on your international experience, several articles in the book are related to your experiences in international negotiations, like UNCLOS and the 1992 Earth Summit. And you speak at length about the elements of successful negotiation. And one of the recurring themes is this idea of goodwill and good faith between negotiators. I think in recent years we've seen a lot more nationalist rhetoric from both governments and publics over issues like trade, climate change, and territorial disputes. So under these conditions, has it become more difficult to maintain or even to establish this kind of goodwill that is so integral to a successful negotiation?
I think that there are two different things. I think that if we are talking about negotiation between countries, all negotiators try to promote his or her national interest. So when you are negotiating on behalf of Singapore, whether bilaterally, say with the United States or with Malaysia, with China, you are trying to secure certain objectives in the negotiation, and securing those objectives will either preserve or advance your country's interest. This doesn't change. This is a constant. What I'm talking about is that given that this is a framework, that negotiation between governments is always about reconciling competing national interests. What I'm saying in my book is that if there's good rapport between the negotiator, if there's a relationship of friendship and mutual trust, this makes it easier to negotiate than if the atmospherics are very negative and if there's no trust between them. So I gave some examples in my book of how, for example, in the FTA negotiation between the United States and Singapore, it took 2 years to complete. And as a leader of the Singapore team, and I have over 50 colleagues, I told all my colleagues that we naturally must protect Singapore's interests, which is a given, but we want to do it in a way which earns us friendship with the Americans. That at the end of the process, we should have created goodwill and not ill will. we should also use this 2-year